and finally, someone is using a semicolon. I am shooketh. What's up, book nerds? I'm Luckie's Universe and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing you a reading vlog of The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. My friend was kind enough to lend me this book, which she got for $3 at like an op shop, which is great. And before reading this book, I hadn't watched any reviews, I hadn't read any reviews, no one had really told me much about it. My friend hadn't read it, so she didn't know what it was about. All I knew is that people either said they loved this book and it was the best thing ever, or that it was overhyped. So I kind of just ran with that and entered with this with an open mind. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my reading vlog. Hi everyone, it is early morning and it's time for me to finally start reading The Night Circus. I'm excited. I was meant to start reading it last night, but I got distracted watching a K-drama. Now I'm ready to read it. I'm gonna try and get through a couple of chapters and then I will write some notes and see how we get on. And yeah, I will check in later.
So as you can see here, I usually like to read for an hour or so right when I wake up. I wake up around 7 or 8 in the morning, I go make myself some tea or hot chocolate, and then I sit in bed and read. I especially love it if it's cold outside because I feel all snuggly and warm.
The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern is a young adult fantasy that is set in the late 19th to early 20th century. And the story follows a collection of characters who are all involved in this magical, mystical circus. There is a boy named Marco and a girl named Celia who are both magically gifted. We are first introduced to Celia as a young girl, and her mother passes away, and so she's given to her father, who is a great magician who goes by the stage name Prospero. He recognizes that she has magical abilities. Now, Prospero has this ongoing rivalry with another magician named Alexander. And as he recognizes Celia's ability, he sees an opportunity to challenge his rival by pitting Celia against one of Alexander's students in a competition that will span over many, many years. Throughout the book, the readers don't really know what the gist of the competition is, how you're supposed to win it. We sort of find out as the two opponents, Celia and the boy that she's pitted against, Alexander's student, Marco, as they find out. And along the way, we're introduced to a lot of other pretty interesting characters. It kind of reminded me, of course, the Lawnmower Man is here. So the Lawnmower Man is here, and I can't film this video with this noise, so I will pick this up in a minute. So I only got through like a couple chapters so far because I got distracted, because as soon as I saw that they had mentions of characters in The Tempest in here, I of course had to go and do my research because I wanted to brush up on my Tempest knowledge, and then I got distracted by the internet and all my research. So you can see I also took a shower and washed my hair. I've refreshed my memory now. I actually had to study The Tempest twice, once in high school and then once again at university. So I kind of understand most of this stuff, but I just wanted to like go over my notes and see what I could remember. So far, I really like how the story is going, even though I haven't read that much. I think the writing style is really pretty. I like the sense of mystery, because at this point I still don't quite understand what this game is or what is really going on. And I guess if I have to make a prediction, if the book is following a Tempest sort of plotline, where, I mean, in the real Tempest, Prospero kind of gets his daughter to fall in love with this prince so that they can get off an island and he can punish people that wronged him. So I guess if I had to make a prediction, I'd say maybe this Prospero guy in the book, I can't remember what his real name is going to somehow manipulate Celia into falling in love with the boy, the other boy who hasn't got a name yet, or maybe he's gonna like force her to seduce him, I don't know, or like trick them. Yeah, that's basically all I've got, but yeah, I'm gonna see if I can get through a bit more today and I'll update you later.
When I'm reading, I like to keep my writer's journal nearby to make notes. I use my journal to record anything from original ideas to story plans, song lyrics, poems, quotes I made up, interesting quotes or ideas from other books I've read, and just general notes on the tone, style, and language of books that I read. I find as a writer it's really useful to have these notes on hand because they're kind of like study materials for my own writing.
Okay, welcome back to Luckie's universe without the lawnmower man. I thought I'd take this opportunity to talk about the really interesting choice that the author made in terms of point of view. Erin Morgenstern uses a kind of perspective known as omniscient third person. And an omniscient or omniscient, whichever way you want to pronounce it, point of view means that the story is told from the perspective of an unknown narrator who knows all of the characters' thoughts and feelings and can jump from the heads of each character at any given time. This is kind of an unusual point of view. You don't usually see this in young adult. It's more something that you would see in classic books like Jane Austen and the Bronte sisters. But in a way, it really suits the book because the tone of the book is very fairy tale-like. It really feels like you're a child being told a story.
After I get through an hour or so of reading in the morning, I usually use the rest of the day to write, get some exercise, do my online classes, study, and just all the basic things I need to do in the day. And then at night, I will settle down with my book again for another couple of hours.
I'm calling it a night and I'm about this far, just under halfway through the book. And so far, I'm really liking it. Like, the aesthetic of this book is so pretty, and I like the whole mystery thing. I like how I still can't fully describe what the book is about because I just don't know. I found it a little bit slow at the start, but you know, it's getting kind of captivating now, which is good. Like, I almost wanted to sort of keep reading because I wanted to find out, but I feel like if I did that, I would just read until the book was finished, and I have work tomorrow, so I need my sleep. So I'm stopping here and I'll probably read a bit more in the morning. The best way I would describe this would be like walking through a dark hallway and only being able to see a few feet ahead of you. Like, and you can't see the full picture. Like, I feel like I'm reading this book and I've abandoned my original thesis on this whole Prospero thing about how the dad was gonna manipulate Celia into like either seducing Marco or falling in love with Marco. I've abandoned that. I don't think that's gonna happen anymore. I think something else is going on, and that's what I like so far about this, is that like I know that something else is going on, but I just don't know what it is, and I really like that. I feel kind of sorry for Isabel, you know, the one that Marco's sort of dating-ish, because it seems kind of obvious that she's in love with Marco, and Marco's just obsessed with Celia, so sucks to be Isabel. I'm especially curious about the twins, Poppet and Widget. I think they're really interesting, and I'm excited to see where their story goes. I hope they get more page time. But yeah, so those are my thoughts so far. I'll pick this up again in the morning, and I'll keep you updated. The overall aesthetic that I got from this book was it's meant to be a fairy tale for adults, which kind of is suitable because in the story, the kind of circus that they're working in is like a circus for adults, because circus is usually a kind of like a childlike thing, but this is one that really allures and attracts adults who are just fascinated by things that they can't explain, and the mystical and the magical. Every now and then we also jump to a second person point of view, equally unusual. Second person point of view is using you instead of, you know, he or I. It's you, so we, the readers, are in the book, a character in the book. And periodically throughout the book, it switches to second person and talks about us walking through the circus and experiencing all the different attractions. And I really liked that. It really instilled a sense of childlike wonder.
So I just got off work. It is 10 p.m. and I'm about to start driving home, but I got some free time at work, so I was able to keep reading for a bit, and now I don't know what to think about this book. I'm really like, I'm so enjoying this book. I'm like fully into it now. I am enraptured. I think this book is really good, but on Now I'm like reconsidering that maybe my original Prospero prediction was true. I know that there is a greater plan in place. I just can't put my finger on what it is. One other thing I'm enjoying is like the Celia Marco romance, but I'm also really cautious because I can't explain it, but I just have this feeling that something's gonna happen to them. Like they're going to be separated. Because there was this thing that they were talking about something that happened with Celia's dad. I'm trying not to give anything away because I'm trying to make this like a non-spoiler video. But Marco and Celia were talking about something that had to do with Celia's dad, and just the way that they were talking and the way that they gave a lot of insight into it made me think that that was somehow significant, and so maybe that's gonna happen to them. I don't know. And then there's this whole thing with Isabel. She's acting all suspicious. And then there's the kind of thing with Widget and Poppet and Bailey. And I don't know what to think, but I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to drive home now, and then I'll read a bit in the morning, and I'll probably be able to finish it by tomorrow. So catch you then.
So I just finished. It is, I think it's about 7 a.m. in the morning. I got up this morning and I was only going to read a little bit and then I was going to finish it off tonight, but I just got really caught up in it and I finished it, and oh my gosh. So I'm going to do like a proper review and stuff of it throughout this video. These are just sort of my reactions as they come. So I wanted to film sort of like a real-time reaction, and I freaking love this book. This book is magical, and I honestly didn't expect it because I wasn't too into it at the start. Like, I kind of took me a while to get into it, but I honestly, this is gunning for the top spot in my favorite books. Like, this is a serious competitor. I'm going to have to review my favorites. This kind of changed me. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna do a separate thing of my review and my analysis of it. But yeah, this has been my reading vlog journey, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I don't know if you guys were interested in this, but I decided to include it anyway. I did a close reading of the first, it's not so much the first chapter, it's more like the prologue of the Night Circus, to sort of go over what I mean when I talk about writing style and what I do to analyze different novels' writing style. So I'm just gonna read through it and then talk about my accompanying notes, and hopefully we can all get like a better sense of the style and tone of this book. So this prologue, I guess we're gonna call it, is titled Anticipation, and that's a really strong word to start off with. The first sentence is really what gets me. The circus arrives without warning. One sentence. One and done, and I love it. Sometimes things that we can miss in sentences are things called alliteration and assonance. Most of you who have gone through high school will know what alliteration is. It's when there's a repeat of certain sounds or letters. So for instance, without warning, double W. Assonance is similar to alliteration, except it only applies to the S sound. So the circus arrives is assonance, whereas without warning is alliteration. And combining this all together in the circus arrives without warning really gives this a poetic feel. When you read the sentence, it's also quite rhythmic. The circus arrives without warning. It's kind of sing-song, harks back to like a limerick, and I think that sort of foreshadows the rest of the book because this book is a fairy tale and poetry. And it's also foreshadowing in the way that everything in this book arrives without warning. You do not see anything coming. This was a really clever word choice by the author. If we go down a few lines, the towering tents are striped in white and black. Again, alliteration on the T, towering tents. And the author also uses white and black as opposed to saying black and white, because black and white is the more natural way of sounding it. So by rearranging it to white and black, it's a bit more jolting and really grabs the attention of the reader. Here, she switches back to black and white with black and white stripes on grey sky. And finally, someone is using a semicolon. I have missed semicolons. I am such a huge fan of semicolons, and it saddens me that we don't use it more these days. I think the reason that a lot of people don't use them is that even when I was in school, I didn't really fully understand what a semicolon was and how I was supposed to use it. But when you break it down, it's actually really simple. A semicolon is made up of a full stop and a comma. A full stop is a break and a comma is a breath. So a semicolon is halfway between a breath and a full stop. And you would use a semicolon when you want to put a pause in a sentence that is longer than a comma, longer than a breath, but not quite as long as a full stop. So yeah, seeing a semicolon in this book just made me happy. And again, as we go further down, we see more use of alliteration, more rhythmic sentencing. Word of mouth is a more effective method of advertisement than typeset words and exclamation points on paper pamphlets or posters. Peter Piper picked a peck of what? Who? Peter Piper who? They stare at the clock that sits just inside the gates that no one can properly describe. I had so much fun playing around with the symbolism of the clock in this book. For those of you who haven't read the book, the centerpiece of the circus is this clock that a clockmaker, mechanic makes, and it's just this huge, intricate, unexplainable thing that is so beautiful, and everyone kind of marvels at it. And I really liked the use of clocks and time throughout this book. It's sort of a recurring theme, a motif, one could say. Clocks represent so much more than just time. When you think about time as a concept, it is something that cannot be controlled, something that you cannot see or feel or sense. It is just there. And it's something that is hard to explain. Clocks represent immortality, which is also an important theme throughout this book. So I liked how the symbolism of the clock was kind of worked in throughout the story. I found a paragraph that I deeply, truly love. The circus looks abandoned and empty, but you think perhaps you can smell caramel wafting through the evening breeze, beneath the crisp scent of the autumn leaves, a subtle sweetness at the edges of the cold. Dude. Again, we have good use of assonance, subtle sweetness. And I really like the way that this paragraph has described scent, because senses other than sight are really hard to describe. But I think this paragraph really brings out the smell and the taste of caramel and just the circus atmosphere. People around you are growing restless from waiting, a sea of shuffling feet. Shuffling feet is a good example of something that we call SYNECDOCHE, which is where a writer uses one part to represent the whole. So using feet to represent people. Also, a sea of shuffling feet is a really nice metaphor. I like that. I mean, the sea metaphor is kind of overdone, but I think it works here. Speaking of metaphors, we have a simile further down. A soft noise like a kettle about to boil for tea. A lot of people ask about the difference between a metaphor and a simile. Both are used to compare something to something else in order to describe it better, but a metaphor you use to say that something is this other thing, and a simile is to say that something is like something else. An example of a metaphor would be the lake was a mirror, to describe that the lake is very still and very shiny. But if we were to use a simile, we would say the lake was like a mirror. The best way to tell them apart is a metaphor will use this is that, and then a simile will use this is like that, or this is as though it is that kind of thing. And the last thing I noticed was the title of the circus, which is in French, and I haven't learned French since I was like 6 years old, so we'll give this a shot. Le Cirque des Rêves is my Australian pronunciation. I forgot to look up how to actually pronounce it, but the translation is Circus of Dreams, and they refer to it kind of interchangeably as the French name and then the Circus of Dreams. In the book, we actually know that the inventors of the circus were based in London. They were all English speakers, and I thought, if they're all English speakers, why did they give this circus a French name? And I think it's a deliberate choice to kind of increase the mystery that surrounds the circus. Like, if you see the title but you can't quite understand it, it kind of draws you in. You're like, but what is it? Like, I don't know what it is. Someone tell me, I have to find out. And it adds to the anticipation of it all, which is the title of this prologue. Also the title itself, like Circus of Dreams, again, that's just layered symbolism. Dreams are timeless, dreams are uncontrollable, dreams are wondrous. Anything can happen in your dreams, and that's kind of what it's saying about the circus. The circus is unimaginable, the circus is uncontrollable, the circus is magical. Now the circus is open, now you may enter. Less is more. I like that this prologue is very short. The writing is elaborate, but to the point. I didn't feel like I was wading through mountains of words to get to the point of the story. Like, it tells you right in the pages. And yeah, so that was my close reading of the prologue of the Night Circus. I hope that kind of helps you understand a bit in terms of like what I do and how I analyze things like writing style in my book reviews. All up, I really enjoyed this book, a lot more than I thought it was. I kind of expected it to be really hyped up, but it kind of deserves the hype. Like, tell me I'm wrong, but I think it deserves the hype. I just wanted to keep reading it. I read it every chance I got. After I give this back to my friend, I'm actually going to purchase my own copy because I enjoyed this book so much. Unexpectedly, this is going up on my favorites list. That's it for my Night Circus reading vlog. Thank you so much for watching. If you agree with my opinion, leave a comment. If you disagree with my opinion, leave a comment. Remember, on this channel, we promote debate, not hate. Remember to like and subscribe and share this video. If you haven't already followed me on TikTok, go check it out. I post some pretty cool stuff on there. I will also leave a link to my Twitter and my Goodreads account below. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you later.